Hi everybody, this is Albie from Pasadena, California, and from my business partner Elizabeth in Macedonia. We both want to welcome you to this short video where we're going to go into a little bit about just being yourself, sharing what you love, and being able to earn online. And so we're going to get to some great tips about it, so let's get started. Okay, so today I want to share with you a pirate story. Don't know if you like pirates and adventure, but today I would like to share with you an adventure I wrote from the era of pirates. From my book I'm writing called Islas Cuevas, and it's narrated by me, of course. So here we go. It's called Islas Cuevas, Chapter 1, Christopher. And by the way, this is a picture I drew for the book. It starts just like this. A deep darkness reigned over the ocean. Storm clouds threatened dangerously on the horizon. And I don't know if you've ever been in a storm at sea, but it starts with gray clouds getting darker and darker, and the wind starting to increase its velocity. It begins to push the waves so that they start breaking white, and you start noticing the wind gradually increasing stronger and stronger, and it's quite a feeling, I can tell you. For one, you can hear the wind whistling in your ear, and two, especially if it's nighttime, the waves start getting bigger and bigger, and when it's dark, your imagination just goes in overdrive, and you start imagining things getting really, really bad, right? And you can see this. If it's not a storm in real life, your imagination turns it into a storm really quickly. But if a storm really is approaching, you can actually see things beginning to change little by little. And that's what was happening on this night. Anyway, lightning flashed, revealing an armada of Spanish ships wandering slowly southwest across the sea. I don't know if you can imagine this with me, but I've always longed to see an armada of old-fashioned sailing ships sailing across the ocean. And you know, back in this day, armadas of ships would, especially from the Spanish, would travel across the ocean together to try to help each other and to be able to support each other against pirates, against bad weather, and anything. You know, they would try to all go sail together in one group so that they could help protect each other. Kind of like how the wagons on the Oregon Trail would all move together in a caravan with many wagons all in one group. So anyway, here we go with an armada of Spanish ships wandering slowly across the sea, and with it the shadows of three dark spirits that appeared like horsemen racing across the sky. I don't know if you can see it, but I imagine almost kind of like dark, menacing clouds, that what these spirits look like. And one went to the northeast towards Spain, and the other went towards the New World. Now, the New World is the Americas, right? And of course, what we're talking about right now is Mexico and the Caribbean, right? And the last spirit disappeared into darkness. We don't know where he went. The night subsided and the sun slowly began to rise up over the ocean. A beautiful morning at sea. I've woken up on my boat after staying all night out at sea. You know, it's very dark out there, by the way, and when you wake up early in the morning, you can see the horizon on all sides, and for one, you feel completely alone. You're just out there in the middle of nowhere. It's unbelievable how amazing it is, and lonely at the same time, right? And for another thing, the horizon has this tiny little bit of color coming up where the sun's rising in the east, and it's quite a feeling. So the night subsided, the sun slowly began to rise up over the ocean. Another spirit appeared with the light. His eyes moved across the semi-darkness of the sea to the sandy bottom below and over sunken galleon ships destroyed by fierce wind and crushing waves. And I don't know if you've ever been in a storm at sea, but those waves can be humongous. remember being out in a storm in a small 22-foot sailboat, 20-foot seas, and they were just like mountains coming at us. And these mountains of water would have these white tops or these white caps. The waves were breaking at the top, and the water would turn white up there. And as you're coming up over, crashing through this white water at the top of the wave, it's unbelievable. And we rise up to the top of these huge waves and see everywhere, almost like we're being on top of a hill. And then you would fall down to the bottom of the wave, and it was like the whole horizon was obscured from your vision. You couldn't see anything. So many ships in the Caribbean were sunk by these horrible storms that came. And on the sandy bottom below, this spirit glided over these different galleon ships destroyed by fierce winds and crushing waves. And this spirit could see these sunken ships strewn along the floor of the ocean. I'm guessing that if you could actually be there and see it yourself, you'd have a million different thoughts going through your head. As the morning sunlight filtered in through the deep water, shining its glory therein, the spirit eyes wandered far across the blue sea. I'm sure you can imagine with me all these rays of sun flooding through the water, going deeper and deeper and deeper until the rays were eventually turned into oblivion and darkness. So now the spirit's eyes were wandering far across the blue sea, and they moved along with the trade winds to the white sands of an island called Islas Cuevas, past the quivering palm leaves that were blowing with wind and jungle fronds, onto a thatched hut where a young man of 18 rested within. Right, so if you can just imagine this pretty island with white sand and palm trees blowing with the steady trade winds, and inside this hut on this island was a young man was Christopher. And when Christopher realized the spirit of light had rested upon him, even in his dreams, he felt a warm glow in his heart like that of no other, and he woke up. The sun had risen, and Christopher with it. His heart was beating fast. He had felt the presence of something so beautiful, so pure, so loving, but he could not explain it. Ever feel like that? Well, I know I have, when I felt God's presence coming upon me, and it was the most beautiful feeling I've ever felt in my life, and something that you don't deserve, and something that's so beautiful and pure. So he could not explain it. Now the promise of a new day met him. He looked out of his window at the warm sunlight of the jungle trees and wondered again about what he had dreamed. The singing of birds gladdened his heart, and soon his mother served him fresh eggs, a slice of bread, and homemade jam and a bit of fish left over from last night's dinner. He then scooped water from the bucket to wash his face as he prepared to go help out his father in the field. And that sounds really good. I'm starting to get hungry just thinking about it. Now, Christopher was not exceptionally clever or brilliant, but he was happy and unusually motivated. He was thin, but not overly so, and wore brown cotton trousers and pants. His mother had not cut his hair since he was young, and Christopher's dark brown hair was tied together to keep it out of his face, for it was quite long. Long hair, basically, his long hair was tied with a string or a bow, and it was in fashion for men back then, and that was quite how he liked it. So the year was 1664. This is the year of the age of buccaneers and pirates, the year when Henry Morgan the buccaneer had burned the Spanish city of Cartagena down to the ground. The Caribbean was called the New World back then, and though much was the same, it was also a very different place from what we know today. Christopher had heard all the stories, rumors of sea serpents, sunken ships, and places in the world where waves were as high as trees. And even though when crossing the Atlantic with his family he had never seen anything like that, but sailors often spoke of huge 30-foot waves that washed from sea to sea amidst raging hurricane winds at the bottom of the world. And he had also heard of how Magellan had dared to venture there. And then how English Sir Francis Drake had followed Magellan's footsteps past the Caribbean and then further south past the furious storm-ridden Cape Horn. And, of course, Cape Horn is the ultimate place for sailors to test their skills, kind of like climbing Mount Everest, right? So, Christopher's father had explained to him how Drake had gone around the Pacific side of the New World to sneak up unawares on an uncontested Spanish dominion, and how he had started the spark of anger between the English and the huge Spanish Empire by taking the ship called the Immaculate Conception. It was a Spanish ship, large Spanish galleon laden with tons of gold and jewels. The stories excited him, and he couldn't get enough. So, later, Christopher's father had also told him how Henry Morgan the Buccaneer had later attacked, killed, and pillaged every major city on the Spanish Main. Only recently had he escaped a huge ambush at Gibraltar, cutting the Spanish off amidst a ship with masts and sails blazing with fire. I don't know if you can imagine that, but that's what had happened. And some of Morgan's exploits are quite amazing and true, and a little bit sad because Henry Morgan really didn't care about people, didn't care about saving lives, and it's kind of sad to think about what had happened in real life back then. And so it was in the fury of these times that our story begins. Black clouds were already gathering in the sky. The rainy season was approaching. Yet on the island of Islas Cuevas, the clouds had not yet marred the beautiful day. The storm remained very far off yet, its black darkness just a threatening menace. The white sands of the island and shimmering blue and green water still sparkled in the hot noonday sun. I don't know if you can imagine it, but I sure can. Nearby ponds and jungle fronds quivered gently in the steady breeze from the Atlantic trade winds. Surely it felt as though the far-off thunder that poised itself threatening on the outer edges of the horizon was a warning of the wrath upon them. The sky was also scarred by the hideous black smoke of a nearby village up in flames. Just 10 minutes down the beach from the little town was Christopher's family's sugarcane farm. It was a crudely made home of logs and thatch with a barn or shed-looking structure on the side and fences made of long branches. You can imagine that, keeping the cow and the chickens. Between the village and the house were fields where sugarcane grew naturally. Christopher was working as usual out in the sugarcane fields, helping his father cut the stalks and like bamboo. And they had already filled the cart halfway when Mother called from their crudely built barn. "Richard," she yelled. "We're about finished here today, son," Father said to Christopher. He picked up another pile of cut stalks and added them to the growing number on the wooden cart. "Go and see what your mother needs." Father was a practical man, tall, curly blonde hair. His face was rugged. Father was a practical man, tall, with curly blonde hair, his face rugged, with years of hard work and sacrifice etched upon it. At once, Christopher picked up his pile, and he added them to the cart and then ran off to see what his mother needed. Christopher's mother, Marie Beth, was originally from Calais, a French city near the sea, before she had been smuggled to England many years earlier. You see, she and her family had been threatened and attacked for being Protestant Christians, and so they struggled to be free from France and came to England. And it was there that she and Christopher's father met and were married. When the chance arrived, the new family left for the alluring promises of the Caribbean, and the Caribbean spoke to them about freedom and ability to do what they wanted and live like they wanted and be able to farm and freedom and peace and be able to make their own way and have enough money to live without having to beg or to borrow. Now, Mary Beth was a sweet and quiet person generally, but sometimes became cross as the malaria she had caught in the New World often affected her mood and her health. And yes, this beautiful place had malaria. Sometimes she would have headaches, but when it got worse, she would start sweating or break out in chills and high fever. Her father was often concerned for her when this happened, but today, thankfully, she was feeling well. Mary Beth and Richard had made a deeper impact on the children than to just raise them in the standards of the day. Back then, schools were basically non-existent. Instead, father and mother would teach Christopher, his sister Colette, and his two smaller twin brothers, Cuthbert and Herbert, in the afternoon after the farm work had been finished. Christopher learned to read mostly from the Bible, as was common back then, and his father had brought him a leather-bound journal from the traders who stopped by every so often and taught him how to write and to do basic mathematics. His mother taught him to speak French and Spanish, and what gaps in knowledge she had were filled from a leather-bound log from a sea captain named Louis. However, not only had she taught them, Mary Beth had been an example of God's love in both kindness and patience, and Christopher felt this love and embraced it. This was something he carried with him unconsciously every day of his life. And so now, Christopher opened the front door of the barn, which was honestly more like a thatched house except with bigger doors, and entered, hoping to see his mother there. But he was disappointed. Perhaps she was out back, he thought, and walked through the barn, filled already 3/4 full with sugar cane stalks. He reached the back door and, walking outside, saw her there under a shelter made of branches and thatched roofs of large banana leaves. She was kneeling on the hay, milking Fatty the cow. "I need some milk, Christopher," she said, with that French accent of hers, as she pulled the soft brown hair back out of her face and blue eyes. Usually her hair was braided elegantly, but not this morning. Her hands and white smock were dirty with soot from cooking. "What do you need, Mother?" he asked. "Christopher, would you please find your sister Colette and ask her to bring me the buckets?" "Of course," he answered. "Where are the twins?" "They're helping me in the garden with Colette," she answered. "Did you tell Papa about your dream?" "Yes," Christopher answered. He didn't say much. "Oh," Mother replied, looking at her son affectionately with a smile. "But you know, God had something special planned for you," she went on. Christopher didn't answer, but he honestly did not know what to say. When she saw he did not reply, she added, "Well, tell the twins they're to help too." "Yes, of course," he said. "Thank you, Mother." He then went off immediately to find Colette and the twins. "And, Christopher," she added before Christopher had gone out of earshot, "do not forget, we are needing to work on your lesson this afternoon, s'il vous plaît. You were very busy yesterday, but we must finish." "Oui, Maman," Christopher answered, as he walked back into the barn to take the message to Colette, his 11-year-old sister. His sister had brown hair like his, a cute little nose, and soft rounded lips like his mother. She was working in the vegetable garden behind the house. "Mom wants you," he said, coming around the corner. There he saw her down on her knees, pulling up weeds around the plants. The twins were busy playing and running around the garden, being a frightful nuisance. Christopher laughed to himself, but was not the type to get on them about it. "Is she going down to the river?" Colette answered, wiping the dirt from off of her hands of her light blue smock. "I believe so. She wants you to bring her the water buckets." "Oh, very well. I will go and take these little beasts with me," she answered with a smirk. "Will you two stop?" she then yelled at the twins. "That is well," Christopher said, grinning back, ignoring the situation, rather happy not to have to do the extra chore today. "I'll take Poppy with me into the village, then," he said, referring to their golden-haired dog. "Right," Colette said with a frown as the twins ignored her. "I'll see you in a while." After turning and leaving Colette, Christopher walked back along the fields, where most of the stalks had been cut in time for the rainy season, and found Father in the southeast corner, where together they wheeled the cart and emptied it in the shed. Later in the afternoon, he would normally do a little cleaning up, but for now, he was off for a walk. Whistling for Poppy, she came running to him from the forest where she had been chasing squirrels. On his way towards town, he happened to come across his black cimarron friend, Kellen, just past the sugar fields near the jungle doing some hunting. Christopher knew the African cimarrons as his friends, but in the back of his mind he remembered what his father had told him about them. They were a collection of runaway slaves. Still, this didn't seem to bother him. They'd escaped from the Spanish plantations and were therefore not a nuisance to anyone in their village. "Hello there," Kellen said with his African accent. He smiled, and Christopher greeted him smiling back. Kellen was a soft-spoken young man about Christopher's age, but of bigger build with nostrils that flared. Poppy sniffed something and went bounding off through the high grass in chase. It was then that they heard shouting and a volley of gunshots from the nearby village. "Are they hunting pig today?" Christopher said curiously to Kellen. "Look," Kellen answered, looking to the northeast. "There's smoke." And indeed, the sight of the ominous black smoke rising over the jungle brush made them fearful and curious both at once. "Poppy, come here," Christopher cried. Christopher had a great way with his dog, and usually she listened to him. When she came over, he attached a rope around her neck as a leash, and the three of them made their way quickly through the jungle brush to investigate. As they traveled, Christopher wondered about which farm was having the trouble. Perhaps it was Edward Galloper's sugar farm. He was a fellow Englishman and shared the other half of the sugar field with Christopher's family. His farm was the closest, but there were French tobacco plantations and farms nearby too. Mother knew these neighbors best as she spoke French. Even a couple Dutch families had set up a new farm down the coast to the east, but he thought the gunshots sounded quite near and couldn't have come from there. Most of the farmers here on the main island of Islas Cuevas had come to the Caribbean the same as Christopher and his family, to farm sugar, tobacco, coffee, or cocoa and live in freedom and peace. But the Spanish did not accept their claims. As Father often said with a touch of anger, half the known world doesn't really belong to the Spanish. Still, the Spaniards were determined to bite off more than they could chew. They struck out at any new settlement that they got word of. The villagers heard the news from passing traders and ships. Captain Lewis' ship had only been here 2 weeks previous, and with news of an attack in Cuba. Cuba was far enough off, and the villagers had not been very worried. Most of the time, they were able to get by without any notice, as there were so many islands and so much unused land. Still, the fear that the Spanish would show up was forefront in Christopher's mind as he and Kellen raced to find out what was going on. Here they are on a beautiful day walking up the hill, with palm trees and bushes and all kinds of vegetation around them, and all of a sudden they see dark smoke coming up, into the sky, and they're thinking, wonder what farm that's coming from. And they're, probably wondering if the farm's catching on fire. And in the back of their mind, they're thinking, I wonder if the Spanish are attacking us. Probably just a fire, but who knows? Maybe it could be something worse. So they're going to go find out. And I'd love to share a little bit more with you about what happens next. And that's the end of the chapter. If you want to read or hear the next chapter, just simply contact me below at my email address, sailingwithalbie@gmail.com. And I will definitely share the next chapter with you. But before we go, I want to just give you a little tip about sharing what you love and earning at the same time. Basically, what I've learned and what I do is I catch people's attention with interesting things that I really love, like sailing or pirates or whatever it is in my mind that I'm excited about or interested about, want to share with others. And once you catch their attention, you can share with them how you're earning at the same time, and basically share with them an awesome business that I've been working with for quite a long time now and having great success with it. I'd love to show you how you can earn and catch people's attention and earn on the back end from what you share with people. It's a really great system, and look forward to helping you personally, walking you through the business. You can check out our link to our business right here. See a little bit more about what we do to earn online. Basically, there's 5 main critical skills you need to learn to be able to succeed online. It's not as easy as most people think or as most people say. Most gurus and
experts, quote unquote, online will tell you that earning on the internet is really easy, and all you have to do is follow these 5 steps, and boom, you're gonna be making more money than you can count. But I never found that to be true. After 40 different businesses that I tried in over 5 years, and $10,000 spent on all these different programs. What I did find, though, was just like what your mom and dad would tell you. If you go out there and learn some real skills, then things will start to happen for you. And I met a 7-figure income earner, and he taught me some of these skills, and everything started to fit together. And that was my aha moment, right? Where I suddenly realized it's not the programs, that really matter. It's the skills that are important. And so we teach you those skills and help you learn that. And we focus on the skills, not so much the business so much. Even though the businesses are great, it's really the skills behind it that are the crucial key to success here.
I know many of you might be thinking to yourself, well, why shouldn't the business teach you everything that you need to know? Not only the marketing skills, but how to get paid, and not only how to get paid, but how to succeed at high levels. It's the business that should be the most important thing. And I agree, it should be, but out of 40 different businesses, out of paying people money left and right for years and years, and we're not talking just a little bit of money, a lot of money, and I realized that none of these programs were interested in teaching me the real skills that are involved. And I think it has to do with, these programs want to make things so simple for you. They want to be able to give you something in a box, a program in a box, a done for you system, something that anybody can do, that they purposely leave out some of the most critical fundamental skills, because they know it takes time to learn them. So that's just my 2 cents on that. But no matter what, I know that when I learn these skills, everything changed for me, and I know it will for you too. So that's my belief. I can't guarantee that, but I know that for me, it changed everything. For Elisabetta, it changed everything. And everybody who's in our team who's actively pursued mastering these skills, it's changed things for them too. The thing you need to know is that we give you 7 days free trial to check everything out. And you can see for yourself, you can contact us personally, get to know the program, and see exactly what it's about and what we're showing you here. And then you can make up your own mind from there. Okay, so it gives you 7 days, and that's a little bit about how the process works, but you'll get to be able to see everything completely for free. Okay?
Anyway, look forward to working with you, talking with you about it. Send me an email. We can chat, or you can just join our business or look into it, or put the link inside your browser, click on it, see what it's all about, email us back or join it, and then email us back, whatever you decide.
Or you could do all of the above while you're watching a movie, juggling some tennis balls, and eating dinner, right? So it doesn't matter what order you do it in. Just contact us, check out the website, and we'd love to talk to you a little bit, get to know you a little better.
I hope you really enjoyed the story, and looking forward to sharing with you more about it. Like always, if you found good value in this video, if you enjoyed the story, enjoyed the content, got something good out of it, press that like button, subscribe, and we look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day. It's Albie. Bye-bye.